It is important to note that yesterday, May 15th, Palestinians marked the 75th anniversary of what they refer to as the Nakba, which means catastrophe or calamity in Arabic, the term that is used by descendants of Arabs who lived in the British Mandate of Palestine upon the establishment of the nation-state of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, which was lost to them during the 1948 Middle East War. As part of so-called annual Nakba rallies held in Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, and even around the world, Palestinian Arabs living in the country travel to many of the sites from which they claim Israel had forced them out.
Lifta is the western gate to Jerusalem, so it was a target for the Zionist militant groups back then. So they seized it after they put explosions inside 20 houses in Lifta. People were under blockade. Britain wanted to withdraw, so it gave them the weapons. We came under blockade, so the families started to send their wives and children towards the caves around the village. This is the house. This the house of my grandparents. Here's where my eyes saw the light for the first time. Here I breathed for the first time. I will never forget, and I will certainly return.
It is crucial to highlight that in contrast to what Mr. O'Day claimed, on December 4th, 1947, the Arab Higher Committee, which operated under the chairmanship of Hajj Amir al-Husseini, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, instructed all women and children to leave the village of Lifta. He then deployed the Arab paramilitary al-Najada to occupy the village to launch numerous attacks against armored Jewish convoys that were attempting to resupply the blockaded Jewish community living in Jerusalem. Moreover, Lifta was in fact built in 1596 by the Ottomans on the ruins of a Christian village called Klepsta that dates back to the Crusader period. And even before that, the village was called Nefto during the Byzantine and Roman Empire eras. But the oldest reference to the village, however, is in the biblical book of Joshua, chapter 18, verse 15, where it is referred to as Neftoa and cited as the border between the lands of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. Nevertheless, as is the case in today's reality, in accordance with United Nations General Assembly Resolution eräs 7723 that was adopted in 2022, the UN held its first annual event to actually commemorate the Palestinian-proclaimed Nakba.
On 30 November of last year, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution calling for the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the Nakba. The legacy of that event lives on.
The keynote speaker at the UN-sponsored event was Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who seized the opportunity to promote his narrative while blatantly likening Israel to Nazi Germany by insisting that the Jewish state is as deceitful as the Third Reich's chief propagandist Joseph Goebbels. Moreover, Abbas also utilized the global stage to urge the international body to do everything in its power to resettle Palestinians who were replaced by the war.
This resolution represents a recognition by your august organization of the ongoing historic injustice that beset the Palestinian people in 1948 and before that date and continues after. It did not stop in 1948. We were dealt unfairly before that and after that. It is also a refuting for the first time by you of the Israeli Zionist narrative that denies this Nakba. I am confident and hopeful that the UN will spare no effort in order to restore the Palestinian people and their legitimate rights and to end the results and the impact of this Nakba.
The Palestinian leader went on to allege that support for the Jewish people to establish the State of Israel from the United Kingdom and the United States was rooted in their colonial agendas. It is worth noting that many countries shunned the first UN Nakba conference after the foreign ministry in Jerusalem worked tirelessly to emphasize how absurd it would be if Israel's allies and partners were to label the country's inception as a catastrophe.
אנחנו נילחם בשקר של הנכבה.
We will fight against the lie of the Nakba and won't allow the Palestinians to distort history. I want to thank our missions around the world, including our representation at the UN, who work to prevent participation of dozens of nations in this shameful conference. I want to thank our greatest friends who decided to be part of the truth and not partake in this conference.
ולא לקחת חלק בכנס הזה.
Among the 32 countries to boycott the event were the United States, Britain, Ukraine, Canada, and India.